So hello and welcome, everyone. This is our open house for the 2024-2025 school year. And this is our sixth. It's hard to imagine, but this is our sixth year that we've done our academy. It was 5 years ago that we actually began our academy in earnest. So we had a little bit of a pilot run with Maria Cabeza, who's here as well, kind of that spring beforehand. But it's another exciting year. I keep thinking we're going to get to a given year and we'll say, okay, we've done enough, and we're not going to keep coming up with new ideas and new things, but we haven't gotten there yet. We keep expanding and doing more things, and I'm really proud of what we have evolved. And so thank you everyone for being here. Of course, people watching the recordings, if questions come up for you later, you of course you're welcome to reach out to us via email, and we can try to answer some of your questions that way. So again, we'll get started now, I guess, with the introductions, and I'm just going to introduce myself. I am Jamie York. This is our academy, and it's an online academy. Of course, you can go on our website and read all about it, but it is something that I think the biggest thing that I was entertaining at the start was just how is it that we can make this really engaging for the students? So we're going to address that when we go around and introduce our courses and kind of what we do. I'm just kind of going from clockwise on my screen, which may be different from your screen, but I'll let Juan Pablo introduce himself now.
Hello, everyone. Well, I'm Juan Pablo. I am from Guatemala. I'm based here in Guatemala, and I teach several things at the Jamie York Academy. I teach science for the middle school, humanities for middle school and high school, and also Spanish. So right now it's when we're going to introduce a little bit of our classes, Jamie, or just
We'll just introduce ourselves now. We'll talk about our classes in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
And the other thing I'll say about Juan Pablo, and maybe he could talk for a long time about any number of things, but he led a group of our students down to Guatemala. They came to visit him, and he led them on an incredible 3-week-long what you might call a main lesson, or just this incredible experience studying marine biology. So that was quite something as well. So we are starting to do some of these in-person experiences and main lessons and so forth as well. I'll go now as we rotate around here. I'll have Celeste introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Celeste Guthrie, and this is my first Jamie York Academy evening, actually. I'm the newest teacher, I believe, and I will be teaching language arts, English, with a focus on writing skills, but actually quite a lot of literature and love of language, communicating, etc. And I'll tell you about that when we come around again. I'm in British Columbia, Canada, right now, and I'm very happy to be here.
And we're very happy to have Celeste join our team. It's an interesting moment for us because in the beginning it was only math, and then we added science, and then we added a little bit of humanities, and now we're at the point where we actually have 4 teachers teaching humanities. So Juan Pablo, as he said, he does some. Celeste is stepping in for the language arts. That's grade 6 all the way up through 12, essentially, right, Celeste?
Yeah.
And then we have also 2 other humanities teachers that teach some of our main lessons in the high school. So this is a big step for us, expanding beyond just the math and science realm in a big way. Maria.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Cabeza. I've been with the Jamie York Academy since it started. At first, I was only doing math, and now I do math as well as middle school science. So.
Yeah, and Maria has been, it was just the 2 of us at the very beginning. And again, what timing that was for us, right? 6 months before COVID is when we began our academy. And so in the beginning, it was very small. And then all of a sudden COVID hit. And as you could imagine, suddenly we were like, what are we going to do with all these people? And so we kind of were adapting as we went. And I think we had a lot of success even in that first year. So I will, and again, now we'll go around and we'll talk about our individual subjects. I'll talk about the math right at the beginning. That was the first thing that we had, but now it's just one of the many things that we do. And I'd like to start out when we talk about the math to just share with you that in the beginning, I really was skeptical. I really questioned this idea. You know, I was talked into doing this by a few homeschool parents. A couple of them are still with us now. And they said that, you know, we need somebody to teach online for us and to do these online math classes. And I'd never heard of Zoom before. It was actually Maria who said, okay, if you're going to do this, it should be by Zoom, because her mother was teaching at the University of Colorado and had experience with Zoom. So, okay, we did that. But in the beginning, I really wondered if it would be successful. But I did realize, I said, okay, if we're really going to do this, if it's really going to happen, and if we're really going to make it successful, it was clear to me that we needed to find a way to engage the students actively, that it couldn't just be students sort of passively watching lectures and then doing their homework kind of in their own little world, that they needed to be interacting with other people and having real human connection. And this is the part that I feel that I'm most proud about with our academy is our students, and I can say this in earnest, our students have really developed real connections, real friendships with the students that they're working with. And so one of the things that we do with the math, and you can read all, and we're not going to talk about everything on the website, really can go there on our website and read all sorts of stuff. But just to emphasize in short, that the Math Academy involves watching 2 recorded lectures per week. And then once a week, it's an interactive, it's a live session, a tutorial on Fridays. But the thing that I think makes us most unique is we put the students in these work groups and they work with their peers on what I call real math. They work on puzzles and problem solving and discovery exercises. There may be, depending on what age the student is, there could be an adult there as a facilitator, but these students are working on these problems on their own. And they're doing real math, and they really develop genuine friendships. And I think this has been the thing, or one of the things, that has really made the Math Academy successful, is this idea of the human connection that they get through those interactions that they have with their student work group mates, and then also with their live once a week tutorial classes. And then I also make an effort to connect with them once, a few times a year. I'll visit their group meetings, or we hold live lectures or something like that, to really engage the students and feel this sense of community. And I'm amazed the sense of community that we've really been able to develop. We're going to turn it over to Juan Pablo now, and he's going to talk. I'll ask you, Juan Pablo, to talk about 2 things perhaps, and the Spanish classes that you do that go on through the year, and then also the humanities main lessons that you do.
Okay, perfect. So since you mentioned, Jamie, the trip to Guatemala that happened like a month ago, well, we did Nick Slaughter, who is also part of the academy, came here to Guatemala, and he taught oceanography and marine biology. But besides, driving and kind of like handling a little bit and organizing the trip, I also taught some Spanish classes there. And what we did during the Guatemalan trip is actually close to what we do online also. So let me describe a little bit first, and then I'm going to show you a video about what the students did. And so I love to see my Spanish classes not just as a language class, but as a cultural class. So I add a lot of things to the Spanish class, including, for example, I don't know, sometimes I go to the market and I teach the class from the market, and we interact with, with the vendors. There was one time when I went to Antigua. Antigua is a city, a really touristic city near Guatemala City. And I sat down at a restaurant and they had to order for me. They had to order to interact with the waiter. And so I really like doing this kind of stuff. We always start with music. So that's something that it's very present in the class. Every single class, we listen and we sing some Spanish music. And then it depends if it's, the beginner's level, or if it's intermediate advanced, if it's middle school, or if it's high school. But I always want the students to feel that they are doing something productive. Yeah, not just learning a new vocabulary because it's what we have to do in the class. So I am always aiming for a final project or something that we're building up. So for example, for the beginners and I'm sorry, for the intermediate and advanced, we've done some theater plays, for example, over Zoom. And we record them and we edit them, and you know, they wear some props and we change our background and we do all this kind of stuff. They also have, you know, written some magazines and things that they think that will be helpful for them. We do a lot of role playing. So I have interviewed them for a job, or you know, a couple of my Spanish students were coming to Guatemala. So there was one time that we were role playing as I was the kind of like the customs agent, and I was asking them for their passport and things like that. You know, things that I think that are going to be productive for them. But I want to show you the video of, you know, kind of like summarizes the trip in 2 minutes. But also, this was their final project for these 3 weeks. And again, I always try to make something that it's going to be useful. So they did a promotional video for Guatemala. So for, you know, for more tourists to come. Yeah. So let me share my screen, and I need to share sound. I don't know if anyone speaks Spanish, but if you don't, that's okay. I'm just going to show you. You know, it's a quick video.
Hola, me llamo Ana, tengo 15 años y soy de Maryland, Estados Unidos. Soy parte de un grupo de adolescentes de diferentes partes del mundo que decidimos venir a Guatemala a un campamento de verano para certificarlos como buzos PADI, aprender oceanografía y también un poco de español. Durante nuestra estadía descubrimos a un país llevo de sorpresas al que queremos invitarlos a visitar.
Me llamo Gervinia, tengo 17 años y soy de Bangalore, en el sur de la India.
El paisaje de Guatemala varía desde las costas hasta las montañas, los volcanes y los densos bosques en las tierras altas y bajas. El territorio está lleno de abundantes especies tropicales como jaguares, pumas, ocelotes y monos aulladores, y con un poco de suerte hasta podrás encontrarte con un quetzal, el ave nacional de Guatemala. Pero lo que más me hipnotizó fueron los antiguos monumentos mayas que datan de hace 2 milenios.
Otra cosa que debes ver son los enormes árboles de ceiba que se elevan sobre el bosque. Entre la flora disfruté especialmente de los sabrosos mangos, cocos y plátanos.
¿Qué onda? Mi nombre es Seth. Tengo 16 años y soy de Colorado, Estados Unidos.
La cultura guatemalteca es rica y diversa, con platos sabrosos y ropa colorida. En la ciudad de Guatemala podrás encontrar un mercado subterráneo, conocido como el Mercado Central, lleno de fruta fresca, comida deliciosa y tecolotes, la versión guatemalteca de una alcancía.
Hola, mi nombre es Chas, tengo 16 y soy de California. Una cosa divertidamente disfruto de Guatemala es el agua, la cual hermosa de clara y claridad.
Obtuve mi certificación de buceo aquí en la ciudad de Guatemala. Si deseas tomar unas excelentes vacaciones, te recomiendo que visites Guatemala y Belice.
Okay, so what you saw there are like many different levels because, for example, Anna was already advanced. I had some of my students from the beginners class, and I had Jervinia, who is from India, and she didn't know any Spanish at all. So
She did
well,
amazing.
she did amazing. Yes, I was impressed. I was really impressed. So yeah, that's kind of like what we do. We build up for projects that they feel part of. They wrote the entire script, and they planned some of the scenes, and so they were kind of like involved in the project. So that's a little bit of what we do in Spanish. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about humanities. In the humanities main lesson, well, I'm going to teach 2 humanities main lessons this year. One is contemporary Latin America through art and culture. And there we do a lot of things. We watch some TV shows from Mexican television from the 80s, and we analyze them, not just like, it's El Chavo del Ocho, if anyone knows El Chavo del Ocho, for example. And we analyze kind of like the culture, but then we go and see the paintings of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, and we see how Argentinians are so passionate for football, for example, soccer. And we do several things. We do poetry, but one of the things that they really like, and I also enjoy that a lot, it's we cook some like traditional dishes from each of the regions in Latin America. So, for example, this is our cooking class for Guatemala. Yeah. So these are rellenitos, which are plantains with beans inside, but the beans have chocolate, and then you have some sugar on top. They are just amazing. I love them, and we cook together. Yeah. So for the Latin American main lesson, like Friday group work is actually cooking time. Yeah. So we get together, we cook. For example, this one is some arepas from Venezuela. Well, it depends. Colombians will say these are Colombian arepas, and Venezuelans are going to say those are Venezuelan arepas, but from South America. And like that, we do 4 different recipes on the Friday groups. And this will be my first year teaching geography, world geography, and that's for middle school. So I don't have a picture from
That's okay, Juan Pablo.
From the students, but I do have. I'm already preparing for that. I'm building this map. I don't know, there are several pages, but it's a map from when the Americas were just discovered. Yeah. So what we see there is what people thought was like the Americas on that time, and that's just like a really thin continental part, which only includes kind of like the eastern part of the Americas, and that's kind of like what we try to do also in the humanities blocks. It's for them to feel what was kind of like the ideas of the time, and what was it to be a sailor, for example, on that time. So that's a little bit of what we do in humanities.
Thank you.
Yes, and that's it.
So Juan Pablo, as you can tell, gets very excited about the many things that he teaches. We're not going to have him talk about science. We're going to have Maria talk about the science classes that she does. And we have, not everybody's here that teaches our science. I teach some science. Juan Pablo teaches science. Maria teaches science. And then the person that teaches a lot of our sciences in the high school is Nick Sloter. And he is in the Netherlands. He's a very experienced teacher there. And right now it's like 2 a.m. there. So he's not in our meeting right now. That's okay. But I'm going to let Maria go and talk a little bit about what we do for our science main lessons, particularly in the middle school, perhaps. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to say it's fun hearing Juan Pablo so passionate about Latin America because my parents are from Argentina, so I share that same passion. Okay, so I currently am teaching, so this year I'm teaching 7th grade chemistry, 8th grade chemistry, 7th grade ecology, and 5th grade botany. I might be teaching some high school physics, but we're not sure yet. And so with the chemistry courses, both 7th grade and 8th grade, we send out a kit, a chemistry kit. So because these classes are remote, it's very important for the students to have a lot of hands-on assignments and just a lot of hands-on work for homework. So every day, their homework includes something hands-on. They might have to go outside, they might have to observe something. And for chemistry, it's all of the chemistry experiments, they do them with their parents at home after the lectures. Botany and ecology don't have a kit, but they will. For botany, the students do go out. Well, for both of them, the students go outside a lot. They observe different plants. They observe their surroundings almost every day. Jamie, anything else?
No, I think that's good. That gives a nice overview. Again,
Okay.
we do have several different science teachers. I think one of the key words, again, that Maria was talking about is, and again, you know, one of the questions that I was really investigating at the beginning of all this is how can we engage the students? And so one of those ways with science is, yes, you have live classes every day. It's very interactive, and you have that hands-on component every day with our science classes. They're doing something hands-on. Thank you, Maria. I also wanted to mention that in terms of the math, Maria, me, and then there is also Sean Aronson, who's one of our tutors for teaching the math as well. So it's really the three of us. And we do have this special connection to Latin America. Many of us, I've spent a good amount of time there also consulting with the school in Guatemala. That's how I met Juan Pablo. And I know Celeste has a connection to Latin America as well, but I'm going to let her go ahead and talk about her classes that are new this upcoming year. It's really exciting that we're now offering these year-long language arts classes. Go ahead.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I will be teaching language arts, English for children grades 6 to grade 11, 12. They'll be divided into 3 different classes, a 6, 7, an 8, 9, and then a 10 and up. The classes will sort of run on a 2-year rotating system. So if your child was in grade 6 and then in grade 7, they'd be doing different novels, different stories, different poems, different writing exercises, etc. And they will not necessarily be akin to what you might be used to as a whole main lesson at a Waldorf school. They'd be more like a skills class. However, even though I sort of was thinking they'd be based mostly on writing, I can't possibly not bring in short stories and poetry and novels. I love them too much, and I want to pass on that love of them. So they will be included every day. Well, they're 2 days a week. So each class, there will be some handwritten journal writing, which they'll take photographs of and hand in to me. And those will be fairly free, you know, no worries about spelling, grammar, any of that. I want them to be free, though I will give a prompt. So there'll be some sort of a theme for that. So they'll go getting used to that. And every week we'll work on vocabulary. Every week we'll work on grammar. I'll go from, you know, a holistic whole to the parts mentality on that, not get necessarily too technical about it. I want children to come away realizing, wow, I actually know grammar already. So how do I come to understand it as a tool for me to use to more clearly communicate what I want to say? Another focus definitely is on clear thinking, critical thinking, calm, organization of your thoughts in order to be able to communicate with other human beings. I think it's very important to be able to do that in writing, to be able to do that in person. Let's see what else I can tell you. We will definitely touch on poetry, short stories, novels, nonfiction writing. They'll present, they'll do some healthy debate. We'll do a little bit on cyber civics. You know, how do you know whether you can trust the research and the things you're finding online? For the older children, we'll do a little bit of work on resumes and how does one go into a job interview. So it's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm really excited about it. They will have homework, but maybe not as much as, say, again, they would have in a main lesson. I would imagine, depending on what block we're in, what we're working on, anywhere from one or 2 hours a week. And then maybe if they're doing researching and actually working on an essay, there'd maybe be another hour in there. Yeah, that's what I think I could leave it at that for now.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Celeste.
Yeah,
You know,
great.
Celeste did touch on a couple of things that I just wanted to mention here. And one thing that comes up in this that perhaps some of you are wondering is, you know, what is exactly the role of the parent in our academy and in these classes? And I just want to say there is a difference. You know, normally when you're in an in-person school, I'd say most everything just falls onto the lap and the responsibility of the teacher. But here, I'd say the parent has a bigger role. And so the parent is really overseen in a bigger way than normal in an in-person situation. The parent is really overseeing their child's work. And that's true in all of the subjects. And again, we spoke about some of these main lessons, be it a science main lesson, a humanities main lesson, that we are giving assignments, and the parent is looking at all that and saying, okay, what do I want my child to do? What's reasonable for them? In many cases, we're giving assignments that is more than what most students can manage, quite intentionally. And again, that's the parent's responsibility to look at all that and say, okay, this is, you know, in many cases, they have to scale back a little bit and say, this is what my child really needs to do, and that's what they're going to do, and that's going to be helpful for them. And so that sort of, there's like a collaboration between the teacher and the parent in that case. So I did want to mention a little bit of that. And now I think we can really open up to general questions. I appreciate all of you who have been here, who are here live. You can either raise your hand and unmute yourself if you're comfortable with speaking during the recording. That would be really helpful. Or you could type something into chat and we can read that for you. And I'll go ahead and ask Hannah. I think you have a question. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much. I know I spoke a bit with you, Jamie, about this when we connected directly, but I would love to just hear a little bit more directly from the teachers as well, specifically around learning differences. And specifically, my daughter has pretty significant dyslexia. She's had some wonderful supportive intervention to help her, and using the Barton method, which has propelled her forward in many amazing ways. But you know, things like in previous years, she's been able to have access to like audio versions so that she can be up to speed with lessons and whatnot. So this all sounds amazing, and I think it would fit her needs in so many ways. And I mean, I would say specifically language arts, but with all classes, just how you maybe see someone with dyslexia fitting into your curriculum and programs.
You want to field that, Celeste?
Sure. Well, I mean, not knowing your daughter and her specific needs necessarily, I certainly have children I work with now with dyslexia, so I feel that I will be able to meet her where she's at as far as what her output is.
Yeah,
she's capable of. As far as the reading material, I certainly would be able to get you that those lists in advance so that you can find audio versions instead of printed versions. There's no problem with that whatsoever. And And as far as, say typing, et cetera, you and her can work out whether she has a voice to text for larger assignments and that kind of thing, right? I see workarounds, absolutely. A be all and end all isn't spelling, right? If she's not comfortable reading in front of the group, then we won't do that. Other people will, and that's fine. Like, true to any Waldorf teacher, expectations are different for every student. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I assumed as much, but it's helpful to hear directly. I mean, I want her to just be in environments where, and she's done well in environments where she's around peers that are, don't have dyslexia. And I don't want it to be a crutch, but something that is known, and we can support her education with that. So
it's a very good question, Hannah, that you bring up. And I would just simply add that this is another example of, I think, the power of homeschooling in general, and perhaps online teaching in particular, is that we have the ability to completely adapt what we're doing, much more so than what would be in a conventional system. And so, normally you're in a conventional classroom and it's like every student does the same assignments, and maybe you have a few modifications, but here we can modify for everybody quite easily, right? Quite readily, we can do that. And I think that's, it also raises this question about, well, how do you grade somebody? If they're not doing as much work, every student's doing a different amount of work, what do you do with grades? Our answer to that is we don't give grades. I don't personally find that grades are helpful in the learning process. However, with all of our classes, when we issue a report, we issue that report as a Word document. The parent is welcome to go and then modify that and add a grade in if they want to. And I know some of our parents do that, especially in high school. In order to build up something of a transcript, they need grades, and so they can add that. So I think we do have a tremendous amount of flexibility to meet kids of all kinds of different needs. I think it's very possible.
I love that. Thank you. Can I ask one more quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
We all love the idea of going on a trip to Guatemala and doing any other adventure that you guys present. Is that just for the older grades, or is that also should be 7th grade?
So we are starting to, thank you for asking the question. We are starting to have what I call in-person experiences. And so this summer, just a few months ago, and I'm seeing a few people that are here with us now, that were present for our summer adventure camp in Western Colorado, where my home is. And we had 70 people come over the course of 2 weeks and, share meals with us and go hiking with us and do river rafting and all of that. So that's one, but those were all in the summer. And then we have these summer experiences. We just heard about the Guatemala trip. 1 year from now, I will be running this meeting from India, because I'm going to take a group of students to India and we're going to do a boat building course. That's going to be exciting. And then the year after that, our plan is to do a surveying main lesson, and that would be in Western Colorado at my home there, to teach surveying to high schoolers. So those summer, especially the ones that require us to go out of the country, those are for age 15 and above. But what we do have for an in-person experience during the school year coming up is we're going to have a class play for grades 7 and 8 that will be again at my home in Paonia, Colorado, where there's a cute little theater, and we've hired a director, and we're going to have students come with parents or with an adult chaperone, perhaps with a friend parent that will come, and we're actually going to put on a play in person. So that will be 2 weeks online to get ready for the play, and then 2 weeks in person. And then we have a couple of main lessons: astronomy for 11th and 12th grade. That's coming up in just a few weeks now. And then we'll have also a botany class for grades 10 through 12 that will be in person in Ohio at the end of the year in May. So those are some of the ideas. We're just we're just getting our toe dipped into some of these in-person experiences. But I can tell you what we've done so far has been, as Juan Pablo shared, I mean, that was an amazing video that you did. I was so impressed, and that looked really exciting. And I mean, they have been very powerful experiences, and these kids are making really strong connections with each other. And these are experiences that these kids will remember for the rest of their lives, for sure. So maybe we'll wrap up here. For those that are here live, you can hang out and talk after I turn off the recording if you wish. we can do that. And for anybody listening, if you have questions, please do reach out. In terms of the math, if you're thinking about joining the Math Academy, having your kid do that, then please sign up like now or within the next few days, because we're going to put kids into their work groups that last for the whole year. We're going to do that on Tuesday. So we need people to sign up at the very latest by this coming Monday. That being said, yes, people can join the Math Academy at any point in the year. And for the main lessons and these other courses, you know, it's nice if you can sign up and be present at the beginning, but oftentimes you can, you know, with the main lessons, you can sign up as late as a week before, or with the science classes and you need the kit, you can need to do it a month before. Any other questions you have, please reach out to us. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I'm wishing everybody a very successful and meaningful school year coming up. Bye for now.